though she's not here, it's become a pattern, it's a habit, it's the theme song. I have to do it every time. Hey everybody, it's me, Shallow360, and today is Sunday, May the 31st of 2020, and what a week it has been. What a week it has been. It has been one of the most mentally exhausting weeks that I can remember in a really long time. Also, this was the last week of my engineer, so that was a lone bright spot amongst a lot of the mess and murk. And it seemed like this was a week where, once again, I say something at the beginning of a week, and then something happened that absolutely validates the thing that I said at the beginning of the week. So I think you know what I'm here to talk about. Let's go ahead and get into it. Why beat around the bush? The last time I spoke to you all, I spoke to you to tell you about my pure exhaustion behind just the shit show that is America and race relations, and how as a parent it affects me, how as a K-pop fan it affects me, how it just really just makes me feel like I am floating in midair half the time and I don't know when or where I'm going to land. So, I also, in my last video, said, call out your faves when they do some bullshit, because if it's coming from a place of love and a place of understanding and a place of explanation, then it's better than somebody who's not in the fandom coming out and being like, you did wrong, blah, 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 blah. It's coming from the people who love them, and it shows that you're non-biased. It shows that you want the best for your fandom and that you encourage learning and development and growth. It aids to the long-term success of a project. It's just the right thing to do. And I have to say, off the bat, I am so proud of so many people in the K-pop community, artists and label-wise, who have come to support the movement, the revolution. Say, who I've talked about quite a few times on my channel, has been continuously tweeting about Black Lives Matter. DPR Live has. J Park has donated Black Lives Matter. Higher Ground said they're going to do a Blackout Tuesday. There's a lot of support within the community, and I thank you, because you know what's up, I know what's up, we need to support each other. But something that I honestly had no idea about, because these aren't things I clock, and also I don't pay as close attention to the small things in certain large fandoms. I didn't clock that on Suga's mixtape, he used a sample from Jim Jones. Now, according to what the Twitter sphere has said, people should have known about this sample a long time ago, because during the BTS movie, he played the production and people recognized it right then what it was. Listen, I paid real green American money to see the BTS movie when it was in theaters. I even talked about it on my channel. Still absolutely did not clock that. Didn't clock it at all, because number one, I don't sit around studying Jim Jones' speeches, because that man was a certified psychopath. And number two, like, if you listen to the song, the original song with the sample, it's not extremely discernible. Like, it's kind of muddled. It does the thing that K-pop always does, which is, you know, they take a sample and they layer and layer and layer until it's just like, it matches the vibe. It has no real meaning. It's just a vibe. It's the same thing that happened when Ihiori had, I think it was a prayer in her song, and when CL had something similar in her song Membom. It happens in K-pop a lot, where they will take things from other cultures that have a significant amount of meaning, and they will be like, that sounds nice, layer it in there, without thinking, okay, this is attached to something symbolic or important to a people. So Suga releases his mixtapes. I already reviewed how I felt about the mixtape, and because of everything that's going on right now, somebody just is like, hey, just a reminder to you all, Suga's mixtape has a song that has a sample from Jim Jones, the famous cult leader who actually killed a lot of black people in his cult. And he used the thing that I actually talked about earlier in the week, when I talked about this feeling of not having a home, of not having a place that belongs to you. What Jim Jones did very effectively in the 70s is that during the time of civil rights, when people were demanding their right to exist in the country, and there were some people who were headed back to Africa, some people that were like, no, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to fight as an American. There were other African Americans who were like, you know what? I can't go back to Africa because I don't know the language, I don't know the culture, I don't know even exactly where in Africa I'm from. I can't stay in America because I'll never be treated equally. And here comes Jim Jones saying, I want to develop a place, a utopia, a place where the only governance is the governance of God. And if you follow me, I will take you there and you will be equal. And lots and lots of black people followed him to Guyana. And in Guyana, things went horribly wrong. Jim Jones was a drug addict. He was a megalomaniac. He was a psychopath. He did everything he could to hide the fact that he was manipulating these people when he took them there. And when the game was finally up and the government was closing in on him because they realized what was happening, he forced hundreds of people to commit suicide. This is not me saying this for shock value or anything else. This is the facts. If you look up Jonestown, Wikipedia, it's there. In fact, I just want to make sure that I get the number count right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Wikipedia now, Joy. But yeah, what happened with Jim Jones and Jonestown is something that's very sensitive to a lot of older members of the black community. I don't know if as many young people in the black community are aware of it, or we are now. But for a lot of older people in the black community, it's a really hard moment for us because it is a symbol of the way that religion sometimes manipulates the hearts and minds of people, and it causes them to do things that they normally wouldn't do if it wasn't for religion, and puts them in a position to be taken advantage of. And that happens in a lot of scenarios when it comes to religion. I mean, if I was just talking to a mainly black audience, I would tell you, it's about the fact that the person who leads the church is considered perfect and people aren't allowed to question their motivations or the things that they do. And then it's uncovered many years later that they're cheating on their spouse, they're sleeping with members of the congregation, they're involved in drug use, they are stealing money from the church. All this stuff happens. But because these are men of God, holy men, they don't get questioned the way that you would question maybe somebody else off the street. And so what happened with Jonestown was really a highlight in a lot of black people losing their faith in the church and losing their faith in religious leaders. And after the 70s, church attendance really went down. And it used to be in the black community, especially in like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the church was the place that we all went. Everybody went to church. There were hardly any people who didn't go to church on Sunday. And now there's hardly anybody who wants to go to church on Sunday because you'd rather sleep in. So yeah, when I talk about this, it's a really sensitive thing because, again, it hits a sore spot amongst black people just for our own community, and the fact that we let him use the Bible to manipulate us and hurt us and take us away and take all of our insecurities and the one thing that gave us security, religion, the word, God, and use that to eventually bring about the end of people's lives. So yeah, for those of you who don't think that it's a big deal, who think, oh, whatever, nobody really cares, just want to let you know, there are people who remember, there are people who care, and it's a really sensitive topic. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get to the part. Okay, I'm trying to find the numbers for the murder in Jonestown. That's what it's called. It's called Jonestown. And they died of cyanide poisoning that was mixed in with Flavor Aid. Okay. 909 inhabitants of Jonestown, 304 of them children, died of apparent cyanide poisoning in and around the settlement's main pavilion. 999 inhabitants. That's almost 1,000 people who lost their life at Jonestown. This was not a small incident. This was massive. This was huge. And so, like I said, everything's available on Wikipedia if you want to look it up. These are not things I'm making up, not numbers I'm making up. This is the facts. Flat out, these are the facts. So now that we've established who Jim Jones is, why it's a touchy subject amongst Black people, why it affects us the way it does, and why we'd be talking about it during this current political climate, let's talk about the response. That's important, the response. So I see stuff about this Jonestown or Jim Jones sample on Friday night. I think Friday night is when I heard about it. And I'm like, okay, I feel like Big Hit's going to come out with a statement because, I mean, this is something important enough to come out with a statement. The statement didn't come out until today. And I know for a fact that I was waiting for a statement that long because I am part of a group chat, and anything that I say or do for the most part kind of lands in the group chat. So I remember we were talking about this whole thing, and on Friday at 9:32 p.m. I said, hopefully the company can spin it and say the producer included the sample, and since Suga's American history is not great, he didn't recognize where it came from. That's exactly what I said, because a lot of times when I'm not sharing my PR fantasies with you guys, I share them with my group chat. But yeah, when it came out that this was what it was, I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen. The company's going to come out with a statement. They're going to say that Suga had no idea who Jim Jones is or where the sample came from, that he just wanted it for aesthetics, it fit the vibe, and that'll be it. And so Saturday, I was like, we're going to get the statement. It's going to come. I know it's going to come because, I mean, there's no way they're going to sit on this, especially with the riots around the world making the news. There's no way they're going to sit on this. They sat on it. We didn't get anything until, I guess, more than 24 hours later. And when we got the statement 24 hours later, I will read what the statement says because I don't want to be accused of making anything up because people get really touchy about this stuff. I'm going to read the statement. The statement says, "Hello, this is Big Hit Entertainment. This is our official statement on the issue of BTS Suga's mixtape. The vocal sample of the speech and the introduction of the song, What Do You Think, on the mixtape was selected without any special intent by the producer who worked on the track, who was unaware of the identity of the speaker and used the sample for the overall atmosphere of the song." Question I have, number one. So this producer was, I guess, looking for sermons to fit the climate of the track he was producing. No big deal. Didn't have any idea who this person was from, where the speech was from, who this person was. I call bullshit on that. I'll tell you why I call bullshit on that. You can currently buy Suga's mixtape, Amazon, Google Play. You can buy it in a lot of places. In order for you to be able to make music available for purchase, if it's not a free mixtape, you have to get sample clearance. If you're going to sample something, it has to have clearance. So somebody had to, at the very minimum, look up the sample clearance details for this speech. They had to make sure, can we put it on a song? Because in order for us to be able to sell this music and not get sued because we use somebody else's material, we need to know if it's in public domain. We need to know all the particulars. So I kind of call bullshit on that, but I'm just saying, you know, years of listening to music and hearing people squabble about copyright and royalties and everything else, these are just facts. Next. After the speech sample was selected, the company followed our internal process and carried out procedures for reviewing the appropriateness of the content. However, in both the selection and review processes, we committed an error in not recognizing the inappropriateness of the content and including the sample in the song. So this is another thing that a lot of us didn't know about Big Hit, or I wouldn't say didn't know. I would say that they have not revealed until now. They have an in-house clearing process where all this time when you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, the artist is sitting in the room tapping away at the keyboard, and as soon as they think it's perfect, they just hit send and it appears on SoundCloud or it appears on the internet. Fuck no, hell no, are you deluded? No, everything goes through corporate. Even stuff that's like a one-off, I did a cover of a song, whatever, it all goes through corporate. All of it goes through corporate. So you're meaning to tell me that the producer who got the sample, who knew that clearance might be an issue later on, you don't want any copyright issues, they didn't see anything wrong, turned it into Big Hit. Big Hit Corporate, in doing their job to make sure that they can make money off of this track, saw the name. Nobody said, do a quick Google cross, find out who this person is, make sure there's no problems. And that didn't come up. And when I say that should have come up, like literally, if you type in the words Jim Jones in Google, there's only two people who come up. It's fucking Jim Jones, the cult leader, and it's Jim Jones, the rapper. And they know for sure it's not Jim Jones, the rapper. So it's got to be this other creep. And they had to have Googled it because they were like, okay, we're going to be releasing this internationally. It's a sample. Let's just make sure, again, that we can still make money off of this. Where'd the sample come from? I think it was one of those deals where somebody said it's so fucking obscure and there's no copyright to be laid on this. We could get away with this. I mean, it's layered under a whole bunch of other shit. People won't really notice. We'll be okay. That is what probably happened. I doubt it. So we Googled this and nothing came up. Hell, right now when I typed in Jim Jones, and I haven't been searching for him, I just typed it in right now, but when I typed it in, that was the first name that came up. The first name that came up. So there's no way that a company with internet access could be going through the clearing process and not catch that. Like that doesn't make any sense. It wasn't about we didn't catch it. It was literally we realized we could probably get away with it if we keep it on the low. That's exactly what that was. Let's keep going. Let's keep reading. Big Hit Entertainment has processes for reviewing its diverse content targeted towards a global audience for potential social, cultural, and historical issues. However, we are experiencing the reality that there are limits to understanding and correctly responding to every situation. In this case, we were not able to recognize the issue in advance and displayed a lack of understanding about the relevant historical and social issues. We apologize to those who felt uncomfortable or hurt because of this. Big Hit Entertainment has removed the part of the song in question and re-released the new version. The artist feels embarrassed and deeply responsible for a problem that has arisen in an area that he did not consider. Big Hit Entertainment will use this incident as a lesson to conduct its production process more thoroughly. You know what you won't read in this entire statement? I don't know if you noticed this because I said it, and so you may have thought that they said it. Never once in the entire statement, not once, do they mention the specific name of the problem. They never say we used a sample from Jim Jones, renowned cult leader. They never say the name. And therefore they never get to the heart of why it is the problem. Instead, we get, in this case, we were not able to recognize the issue in advance and display a lack of understanding about the relevant historical and social issues. We apologize to those who felt uncomfortable or hurt because of this. There were two things that Big Hit really should have done here, besides just saying the name, because you need to say the name. Besides just saying the name, you should have said very clearly, in the current global climate, we are on the side of those people who are affected by injustice, and we don't want to be a cause or perpetuator of further hurt, further pain. You could have put that in there. Straight up. Straight up. You haven't said shit about Black Lives Matter yet, Big Hit. And Big Hit, the reason why I'm looking at you and I'm saying this to you is because if you're going to be the mouthpiece for BTS, because Suga hadn't written a handwritten response, he hasn't put anything on social media from his own mouth about this. This is all corporate. Straight up. This is all corporate. And it's always been corporate. When Jungkook stuff happened, it was corporate. This is corporate. If you're going to be the mouthpiece for this, let me talk to you like you are BTS then. If you're going to be the mouthpiece for BTS, let me talk to you like you're BTS. BTS has an entire song called Hip Hop Lovers. And in the song, they list black creative after black creative after black creative after black creative after black creative. The entire song is a love letter to American black hip hop. Hip hop, hip hop. If these are your influences, if this is what you purport to love, if this is the culture that you want to be a part of, if you find yourself, Namjoon, perming your hair so you can have a high top, if you find yourself rocking gold chains and Boy London gear and all this other stuff, because you love and respect the culture so much that you did a whole song about it, show me a donation. I'll wait. Give us some money. Say that you sympathize. Say that you understand. Say that you are for justice. Say something. Don't give a statement with the level of fucking cowardness and bleaching of the situation that you gave here. This was a non-statement. This was absolutely a non-statement. This was absolutely a, we're going to try as much as possible to make it that if anybody outside of the United States was to read this, they would never think we did anything wrong. That's exactly what this is. This was like when Mamamoo did blackface to Bruno Mars, and the company gave one statement to international fans and told Korea, oh, there was no problem. It was just a misunderstanding. No big deal. Do you see this? This is about telling people at home that there's no big problem. This was a misunderstanding. We made a boopsie, a little boo-boo, no problem. If you really are apologizing to the people affected by this, if you really want to make an apology to the people who this hurt, say what you did specifically, because that's one of the first rules of giving a good apology is specifying what you did wrong. Number 2, tell us how you're going to do better, which they said they're going to tighten up their processes, but also name who you're apologizing to. Straight up, name who you're apologizing to. BTS did an entire show where they were surrounded by black creatives. American Hustle, do y'all remember that? An entire show with Warren G and other black creatives. They were surrounded by black women in their little video that they did at the end of the show. We are K-pop, guys. If you didn't know it by now, you need to know it already. Even if we don't write the song, we're the inspiration for the vocal pattern. We're the inspiration for the flow. We're the inspiration for the sound. When they see us out here doing whatever we do and they think it's cool and it sounds nice and swag and everything else, that's us. That's our young people. That's their creativity. That's their passion. That's their way of interpreting their world and making it something joyful out of pain. And as much involvement and as much as your company has benefited off of the things that we presented and the way that we basically trained your artists through the radio, this is the piss poor statement that y'all make. This is sad. Like, straight up, this is just sad. Now, Big Hit Entertainment has removed the part of the song in question and re-released the new version. I would like to know, Big Hit, are you going to refund people who bought the first version, or are you going to make people pay twice for the second one? Real talk. Like, if you are a person who paid for this mixtape and you downloaded the original and you paid your 99 cents or whatever for this song, if they say, we got a new version, download this one, do you get it for free? Do you get your money back? Like, how's this happening? Because if you fucking make people pay a second time for another song, we really need to talk. Because this was your fucking mistake. Wasn't mine. Wasn't anybody else's. This is your fucking mistake. Why should anybody have to pay for your fucking mistake? Seriously. Fuck out of here. This is the part that I mentioned briefly, but I think you all caught it. I think I was late enough about it. The artist also feels embarrassed and deeply responsible for a problem that has arisen in an area that he did not consider. Shall we have a wrap? Should we talk? Can we talk about this? What is it, Big Hit? Is it we respect the private lives of our artists? We don't speak about private matters? Or is it we are their mouthpiece, don't expect to hear anything from them, you're going to hear it from us? I have spent so much time making sure in my videos that I say, I'm not talking about BTS, I'm talking about Big Hit. I've said that a lot. So, what I need, so that I can continue to say that, because I'm beginning to think I can't, what I need is for Suga to open the Notes app, get on the Twitters, do whatever it is you need to do to try to make amends out of your own mouth. Don't play this game of the company as my mouthpiece. Because when the time comes that the company does something really bullshitty that you don't want any part of, I don't want to hear you saying that was the company, not me. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear you say, I am my own man. I made my own decision. This was my mixtape. I should have done better. Even if I didn't know, next time I need to pay more attention. That's all. I'm not even asking you to be like, I knew about the history of this. I don't expect you to do all that. I don't think you did. But I do expect you to spend a little time apologizing for an oversight that hurt people. Straight up. Not only that, but you have spent so much time telling people, oh man, I put my heart and my soul and my sweat and my blood and my tears into this mixtape, and now that we've been quarantined, it's given me time to really just sink in and get this thing completed, and I'm so proud to give it to you. This is everything that's me. This is my whole spirit. If this is that, and you're claiming that this is your baby, this is you, unedited, unfiltered, your authentic self, the self that you can't be in BTS, the part of you that's a little bit too raw for, the pop idol aspect of your life, then you need to talk about the fact that the raw you paid absolutely dust to where this sample came from. Just say it. Just say, I paid dust. It sounded cool to me. I didn't even think about where the sample came from. I'm not from America, so I really don't know nothing about Jonestown like that, but I have been given an education today. A lot of y'all have told me about it, and I'm horrified by it, and had I had any indication at all that I would be affiliated with such a tragic and terrible event, I would have never let it happen. That's all. That is literally it. That's it. It doesn't require a bunch of PR people to do it. It doesn't require a bunch of lights and cameras and makeup people and a wardrobe. It requires you sitting in a room, either writing it down or getting in front of a camera, posting it to the official BTS Twitter and Instagram, and just saying, this mixtape means a lot to me. And for anything that I wasn't producing myself, I was looking for music that fit the ambiance of my thoughts and what I wanted to get across to the people. One thing I never wanted to get across to the people is that I in any way affiliate with a monster like Jim Jones. And as a Korean person, I don't know as much about American history because I wasn't raised in America. Just like a lot of you don't know a lot about the history of the Han people. However, had I had any inkling that this sample had to do with somebody that committed such gross atrocities, I would have never included it in the song. I would have gone on another path. And I want to say up front, I care about every fan in our fandom. I don't want anyone to ever feel uncomfortable or excluded from our fandom. Me and my company have made steps to eliminate the sample. Anyone who bought the mixtape, you will be able to get a new version of that song absolutely free. And I want to continue to educate myself whenever I'm using ideas or subjects or materials that don't come from a place that I have deeper understanding of. So I can't say it won't ever happen again, but I'm going to try my hardest to make sure it doesn't. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for educating me. And I wish you all safety as you're out here in these streets protesting for your rights. That's all. That's all. I didn't even write that down. That came off here. And I'm no rapper. Imagine if I had the vocab and the skills of a rapper. I'm no rapper. I'm a 40-year-old woman. But I can even come up with that off the top of my head. Why won't you talk? Why won't you talk? Why won't you talk? Why are you letting them talk for you? So again, to wrap it up, Big Hit Entertainment will use this incident as a lesson to conduct its production processes more thoroughly. Big Hit will learn a lesson. Lesson is, let's try not to lose no more money. You know, I remember when I was really, really young, me and my mom were sitting in the living room talking, and she said to me, and it was just so bizarre because I don't know, it just was funny to me. She said she never would have guessed that the person to marry a black woman would be David Bowie. We were having a conversation about rock and roll and how much rock and roll artists from like the 60s and 70s loved blues music and loved black culture, but they were very firmly white. And she was like, yeah, and one of the whitest of them all was David Bowie. I would have never guessed that he would have been the one to end up married to a black woman. I always would have guessed it would have been Mick Jagger, because Mick Jagger danced with Tina Turner, and definitely there was a little bit more of a soul vibe to what Mick Jagger was doing as opposed to David Bowie, which was very much pop and rock. And that conversation has stuck with me, not because of, you know, my undying love for David Bowie, but that conversation has always stuck with me because you would never think that the ones who are the biggest, like, I love hip hop, I'm a rapper, rappity rap, you'd never think that those would be the ones who would be dead silent when you would like to hear from them, you know? And like, when we were having the conversation, part of it was that, you know, David Bowie went through this phase in his music career where he was the thin white duke. And a lot of people, if you look it up, they say that, you know, it had a lot of white supremacist overtones, a lot of kind of Nazi-esque imagery along with it. I can't speak to that because that's not something I have expertise in. I'm not a big rock historian person, so I'm not even going to try. But having gone through that phase, he married Iman after that. And so it is a little bit surprising, but also during that period, he admitted himself he was on a lot of coke. So, you know, maybe it was like one of them things where coke made it seem like a good idea and it wasn't. But yeah, you sometimes assume that it'll be one person who's going to be the one who's out here, you know, campaigning and defending and being on the side of, especially considering, you know, they have the whole Love Yourself UN affiliation to the speech at the UN, all that other stuff. And it has been silenced. And that's very surprising. That's very surprising because I'm pretty certain that black fans have bought thousands of dollars, if not more, in BTS merch, albums, the like. We're not asking you to give all that money back. You can give part of it back. You don't have to give it all back. But yeah, it is surprising. It's surprising that the group that I don't think about their black fans at all, GOT7, that it would be one of their members donating to the cause. Like, that shit's surprising. Isn't it? Don't you get surprised sometimes? The one you think would be down is not the one that's down, but it's somebody else just came out of nowhere. Like, I was surprised to hear Ariana Grande was walking the streets of New York protesting. Not because I felt like she wasn't down with us. It was more like, she's tiny. I'm surprised that she would feel safe enough to go out on the streets. So, yeah, I get surprised sometimes. I really think that it would be one way and it's another. But, you know, it's okay to make money with us. It's just not okay to spend money on us, I guess. I guess that's the whole point. Same thing with SM. You know, I put out a tweet saying, honestly, SM ought to be donating to Black Lives Matter because black creatives have given so much to SM. SM has benefited from black creatives so many times Do you like EXO? Do you like Call Me Baby? Teddy Riley. Do you like Shiny? Do you like Shiny? Press your number. Stereotypes. I mean, Red Velvet. Do you like Psycho? One of the writers is a black man. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. We're there. We're in the room. We're in the room already. So it's not like you could say, well, I have never considered it because there's never any black people around. We never have anything to do with black people. So I never thought about their problems or concerns because they were just never on the radar. Really? I mean, yeah, really? Because when I look at the credits and I look at the choreography and I look at all this other stuff, I see us there. So really, you've never seen us before? You've never heard of us? We're just not there? You know, I don't want to talk bad about Wendy because I feel like she's still in recovery, so I want to help her dodge these bullets. But, you know, when Wendy's on television doing her accent and everything else, again, y'all never heard of us? Y'all never heard of us? There are a lot of things that I can identify as wrong, and I did, and I gave what I thought the solutions were. Now I'm going to ask you to do your part. Please help fans feel comfortable in their fandom, because what is happening because of all this bullshit is that black armies are being attacked online, and they're being attacked quite brutally, and they're being attacked quite relentlessly, and they're being attacked for saying truth, for speaking truth. They're not being attacked because they're telling lies. They're not being attacked because they are trying to paint the situation in any different of a light than what the reality of it is. They're being attacked because they dare to speak up. Just daring to speak up. Not, again, it's not because they are doing bad things. It's because they are daring to speak. And that's not fair. That's not fair for a number of reasons. That's not fair because a lot of times these same people are quick to jump on anybody outside the fandom and correct them. But then inside the fandom, we're not allowed to talk about the truth. And I shouldn't say we, because I'm not an army. I like BTS a lot. I still enjoy the music. Even despite all this, I still enjoy the music. But I'm not an army. Like little things, like this whole thing, I would have caught this months ago if I was an army, but I didn't catch it. So, you know, that shows you what I'm not. But this narrative, we spoke about this before too. I feel like everything I'm saying is a broken record. If you've heard it before, I'm so sorry. When we constantly are talking about everybody was so against BTS in the beginning, and now look at us now, and we're not a part of K-pop, we're a part of pop. Fine. If you're not a part of K-pop and you're just part of pop music, or you're just part of hip-hop or whatever else, then I expect you to speak just as much as Halsey, Ariana Grande, even Taylor Swift. And you know I do not stand no Taylor Swift. Even Taylor Swift has spoken up about what's going on around here. I expect that much. I don't want you to use the defense. We're not a part of pop music, we're K-pop. I don't want you to use that defense. I don't want to fall back on, it's because they're Korean. When before that was like, oh no, it's not about that. It's about the fact that we're international, baby. I'm going to circle back around to something that Sarah said. She said, what makes me mad are people saying, well, no one was mad when Lana Del Rey and Post Malone used a sample or referenced the person or town where it happened. I don't get people's minds there. I'm disappointed and afraid for the people that were doxxed because of this affair. Get the fuck up out of here. Not you, Sarah. Sarah, you're fine. Get the fuck up out of here talking about no one said anything when Post Malone used the sample or when Lana Del Rey used the sample. Lana Del Rey just got through having her entire ass tore up last week. I had a little bit of it myself. So don't act like people aren't criticizing. They absolutely are. Post Malone, I don't listen to his music enough to know what the hell's going on with him. So why would I speak about somebody who I absolutely know nothing about? And most of y'all who are saying this, do you know how you knew that Lana Del Rey and Post Malone used this sample? It wasn't because you were listening to their music and because you've been policing the musical scene for so long. It's because what you did is you went on Google to look for a way to defend him by saying, well, other people use the sample. How come you didn't talk about them? You don't know if anybody talked about them or not. During the phase when Ultraviolence came out and Lana Del Rey used the sample, were any of you checking for Lana Del Rey during that time? Do you know if anybody on the Twitter sphere said, hey, Lana, this is some bullshit? Because promise you, those tweets have been buried. It's been a long time since those tweets were probably anywhere where anybody would see them. So that's why I'm saying, like, were any of you checking for her and said anything during that time? Or did you go on fucking Wikipedia and Google and all the other search engines looking for evidence to back up your point that we should protect our bias? Why don't you want to come at it from a human perspective? Not a who else can we blame perspective, because part of being a decent human being is taking personal responsibility. But how come y'all are so quick to try to throw anyone else and their grandmama under the bus to keep yours rolling? Instead of just saying, as a human being, and during these times specifically, during this climate specifically, we made a mistake. And even after the apology, non-apology, came out from Big Hit, the conversation was, you guys shouldn't have apologized because he didn't do anything wrong. I'm getting tired of artists not talking to their fandom. Maybe that's the reason why Suga hasn't said anything, because he's like, I can't go against them loving me and wanting to protect me and making it seem like I did nothing wrong, so I can't say anything because then they'll see it as me, going against what they said. Just like when fans talk mad shit and are really super disrespectful and threaten folks and everything else, and the stars never want to come out and say, maybe I should tell them to shut up with all that noise because it makes me look really bad and I would never be down for some shit like that in my name. Nope, not gonna say anything because I don't want the fans to be mad at me. And do not get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. If this same situation happened with Onu or Minho or Taemin or Key, we would be having this exact same conversation. Don't doubt. We would be having this exact same conversation. I don't save this vitriol just for one or the other. That's not true. In fact, I find it kind of ironic that in this moment, I'm telling Suga to step up when the last time I had to talk about a Big Hit problem with Jungkook going out there, I specifically said Big Hit needs to apologize for Jungkook for not taking care of him. So if you want to really know my opinion, where I really stand on things, check the history. Check the history. Check what I actually talk about. Listen to these hour-long and 2-hour-long videos and listen to the whole fucking thing. Not just the snippet that you want to use to say she did this or she did that. Listen to the whole fucking thing. I spent an hour talking about how Big Hit should have done better by this boy. But this is not that. This is something very different. And the reason why this is different is because this didn't happen overnight. If he was listening to this sample that this producer sent for the backing for a track, back when the BTS movie was filmed, not when it aired, when it was filmed, which was what, 2 years ago? If he was listening to this track all the way back then, and then the fucking mixtape gets released, what, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago? Think about how much time they had to figure out that maybe we need to pull this sample out of here. How many times people listen to it over and 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 over again. Jungkook made a mistake for one night. It might have been one of those things where it was the group chat was hot and like, we need to get together, let's have some fun, let's do this thing. And so they got out there. That was probably a spur of the minute, last minute, maybe talked about it the day before type of thing. This was something that went through many hands to get to where it ended up. It was more than intentional to release this music. Maybe not intentional to be affiliated with somebody like Jim Jones, but it was more than intentional to release this track. This wasn't an accident. So can we at least apologize for the things we do intentionally? If we're not going to apologize for our accidents, can we at least apologize for the things we do intentionally? I don't give a damn about who decides that they don't like my content because of the truth I plan to speak. Because that has never stopped me from talking in the past. Never has, never will. I will always speak my mind because that is the right that I have. And I will always speak about the need to protect my right to say the things I want to say. I will always talk about the reason why I should be allowed to say the things that I want to say in multiple forums. I'll always continue to be me. I'll always continue to be me. And so if some of you are surprised at my anger or surprised at the way that I talk in this moment and think, wow, that's fairly bold of you considering how much people want to attack and how much people want to do this, that, and the other, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something really real. Hiding and being afraid of the opinions of anonymous folks who have never paid a bill for me, have never contributed to putting food on my table, for me, that time is over. That time flat out is over. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in trying to stay in good favor with the folks who might view a video. I'm not interested in staying in good favor of people who might decide to follow me on Twitter or Instagram or anywhere else. I'm not for that. Because at the end of the day, there are a few things that matter to me. It is my family. It is my health. It is my safety. I gives a fuck about hurt feelings in K-pop. I gives a fuck about you deciding to thumbs down this video. I gives a fuck about it being considered unpopular. I care about me and mine. And I care about the people who look like me. I care about the people who have been friendly to people who look like me. I care about the things that are going to last. And what has continued to last is a disregard for the pain of others. What has continued to last is this idea that talking about the things that are painful, the things that are uncomfortable, the things that might make us look bad can't be done. Because to talk about the things that we do wrong or the things that make us look bad is a ding to us. When this could have been, and still might be, every opportunity to show that you're a better person. That you're who we always believed you were from the very beginning. This right here is an opportunity for him to step up and say, I've never been about this bullshit, and I never would be about this bullshit. And this is what I'm really about, and this is where I'm really putting my money. You could take something that is a source of pain for people, and you could flip that switch and show solidarity. You could flip that switch and be about bringing the communities back together, making the Black armies who have spent, again, hundreds of thousands of dollars feel like they belong here just as much as anybody else. We can't keep hiding the ugly truths of our idols behind we don't want to make them look bad, because this silence makes you look bad. That's exactly what this is. The silence makes you look worse. Not talking about it, fuck that noise. Being quiet makes you look worse. Say something. That's all anybody wants. Literally, that's all anybody wants. Oh my gosh. That's what all of this is. A whole of it. All of it. Do you know why people even decided to walk the streets? People decided to walk the streets because all they wanted were the officers to be arrested and charged with a crime. If the minute that footage came out, the mayor of Minneapolis said, "We have arrested all 4 officers," there probably wouldn't be a single thing smoking right now. Address it. Correct it. Learn from it. Do better. That's all. That's all. That's all. There are multiple people who at this moment have been arrested, have been pepper sprayed, have been shot with rubber bullets, have had tear gas exposure, people who feel like their safety has been compromised. There's property damage. There are feelings that haven't been dealt with for a really long time that are finally surfacing, and people are examining them and finding themselves lost in these feelings and these emotions. And this is a time of pain. And there's nothing that I or anyone else can say that can eliminate the pain. There's just not. But what we can do is we can try to be here. I can't imagine what protesters are going through. I personally am not out in the streets protesting. I've given money, but I'm not out in the streets protesting because I don't think that it's a place that I can be in. I don't feel like I can control my emotions enough to keep myself out of jail, to be quite honest with you. But what I can do is I can use the little bitty fucking platform I have to talk. I can be here for people. I can donate. And I can wield a flashlight. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm wielding a flashlight. I'm going to address this one statement here that Sarah said. I'm not sugar, but I would be scared to make it worse. I would research and learn my fault first. Big Hit has an entire department of people, apparently, who are supposed to research and find fault for shit. If he's concerned about that, take the people on the payroll and have them look it up so they can make the best statement. There's nothing I can say to make it better. All I can do is be here. All I can do is show support. That's all I can do. And I feel like the rest of us can do that too. The rest of us could do that too. Say something. Just say something. Fuck. Say something. Say something. The title of this upload is Take It All. The reason why the title of this upload is Take It All is because if you're going to release a mixtape and you're going to take all the acclaim and all of the attaboys and all of the money and all of the visibility and all of the, you know, positive reviews and people saying what a great artist you are and how cohesive your vision is and all of the positives, if you're going to take all of the positives, take all of the responsibility. Take all of it. Take it all. Don't just take the nice parts. Don't just take the sweet parts. Don't just take the parts that make you feel good about yourself. Take it all. This is not a BTS's cancel party. That's not what this conversation is. I can't be angry unless I'm hurt. So understand that. I don't get super angry about situations that don't hurt me. The kind things I have to say about you. Take this. Take it all. Take it all. Because this is yours as well. You want it? You got it. Here it is. So thank you guys for watching. I'm not going to delete this. I'm going to keep it on my channel. I've been having some issues lately with processing times. When I put stuff up on a live, it takes a really long time for it to process. And it's not even because of music clearance. It just tends to take a long time to process in general. So like I'll upload something like this, and then sometimes it'll take, several hours to process before people can watch the playback. So if it doesn't show up right away, I promise you it's not because I deleted it, it's because it's taking some time to process. Once it finishes processing, then it's just out there, and I'm ready. I'm ready. Fuck what you heard, I'm ready. Fuck what you heard, I'm ready. Because some things just matter more. And being quiet to save somebody's hurt feelings or to make people feel like you're not an enemy of the state, So thank you guys so much. I know I look gorgeous today. Actually, I just washed my hair, and I tend to put my scarf on after I wash my hair because it helps with the drying process. Don't know why, it just does. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy dinner, and I'm going to find something the fuck else to do to make me happy. But in the meantime, in between time, I cannot say this enough. If you can speak, speak. Me and Mason, we have a vlog that we do, and I said the same thing there. If you can open your mouth to speak about injustice, please do so. If you are housing compromised, if you are safety compromised and you cannot talk about it because if you did, you would lose both your housing and your safety, I completely understand keeping your mouth closed. If you have even $5 of disposable income, please donate to whatever fund reaches your heart. If it is a fund to bail out protesters, if it is a contribution to the George Floyd family, if it is a contribution to your local ACL, if it is a contribution to Black Lives Matter, please, whatever you can, do it if you can do it. If it's signing a petition which costs you no money, please do it. If it is speaking to the people you love the most when they do something wrong and you can do it without compromising yourself or being hurt in the process, please do it. I would never ask you to do anything that would compromise your safety, your housing, your financial situation, if you can't bear it. I wouldn't do that. But I will tell you this. Once they run out of us, who's next? Once you run out of one group to be the fucking kicking bag, who's next? Because it doesn't ever stop. Ensuring the rights of me and other Black people helps to ensure the rights of everybody else. Speaking up about these things and doing what you can do makes it to where when your time comes, if your time comes, you might have an option for not being taken advantage of. You might find your rights actually being protected. Because don't think that protesting police brutality is just for Black people. Yes, this is kind of the focus right now. But police brutalize folks who are suffering from mental health emergencies. They brutalize people who have developmental disorders. People with autism experience significant police interception. People who have mental health issues experience significant police interception. Sex workers of all ethnicities experience significant police interception and involvement. Gay people, Asian people, Arab people, Latinx, all of these populations have one thing in common. We are all suffering from significant police interactions, interception, presence, brutality, over-policing. So don't think this is just my problem. This very quickly could become your problem. So speak up now before you're the hashtag and someone's having to speak for you. Night, guys.